Teresa, this is always one of my favorite topics. It's influencers. Sometimes they come in a minute, sometimes they come over a lifetime. My first influencer, you talked about your grandfather earlier, was my grandfather. He came from Kyiv, and my grandmother, my mom, came from Kyiv years ago. But he used to take me for walks in the park in Montreal, and I saw he talked to a lot of people, which is probably where I get that from. But he talked to a lot of people. And I called him Zeta. I said, Zeta, how do you know all these people? And he looked at me. I remember he said, well, one day I smiled at somebody and he came over and smiled back to me, and we started talking. And while we were talking and started laughing, somebody else came over and saw that we were smiling, and he smiled at us and started talking about stuff with us. And I said, well, this is really simple. People get interested if you smile at them. As a 5-year-old, I thought. But it's true. And he showed me the influence it had, positive influence to the other person and to himself that it had. So that's just one example. I know we've all had many influencers. Can you share 2 or 3 people that have been influential in your life?
These people, one of the persons is there was in the Renaissance in Spain, there was one saint called Teresa, Santa Teresa, who was one of the best. She was a nun, and she built a network of schools in the Renaissance. Being a woman, she raised a lot of money from very rich people, and that was very difficult because she was a woman, she was a nun, and she was developing schools for underprivileged people together with another saint, San Juan de la Cruz. So how can she go and talk to a bishop in that fluent way and reach her objectives in that time? So I say, if she can do it, I think we have to learn from her, to have the courage to face a no, and if one door is closed, you jump through the window to look for opportunities, or through the chimney. This is I always. And when I was in Singularity University, it was so inspiring. When I heard, because that changed, it was 10 years ago. They talked to me about things that I had maybe in my mind, but it was really inspiring to have the view of subcompacted knowledge together, of how the world could change in a way that we could democratize many services, education, medicine, and reach no hunger levels. People have access to have a world with energy for everybody. Utopic things that could be realistic, so that sometimes to reach some space, we have to think big and try to go through that path. And for me, it was very inspiring. Peter Diamandis, it was really inspiring. And Elon Musk, for me, is very inspiring. He's a hard worker. I admire him because he's a very hard work person.
It sounds like your grandfather and your father were also pretty influential.
Yeah. Yes. But Elon, the fact that he's thinking about things that people don't think, that he thinks of a disaster, and he has a very holistic view of humanity in a very long term, and this opened my mind, because I sometimes we are so close to little problems, and we make a little problem so huge. And when you hear those people talking about the problems of humanity, that provides you a new perspective, a new angle that is so inspiring, and makes you sit back and think, and stop what you're doing to recenter your path. No, so these 2 people for me are very inspiring. And one was a saint, a writer, a nun, an entrepreneur in the Renaissance. And
well, one thing you said before that we'll just leave it with on this is, you said, visionaries think of things that no one's ever thought of before. That's a true vision. Yes. I mean, you can take this pen and figure out how to improve it, and that's visionary. But if you don't even know what a pen is and you think of it, That's pretty amazing. So great influencers. I know you have so much more, but we got to leave it at that. I appreciate you
Yeah.
sharing that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing all that.
Thank you so much, Mark, and I hope it's inspiring for other people. And I'm going to follow, besides Lisa, all the things that you publish, because it's so inspiring to talk to you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you too.